I can't believe that it's been a little over 5 months since I've had my service dog. I can't imagine going back to my life before I've had her. I had freshman year, it was very hard to adjust to high school. High school didn't make me anxious. Life made me anxious, but Quinn, she's not an anxiety dog. She's not for emotional support dog. She's a medical and a mobility dog. But I do have very bad anxiety, and my sophomore year of high school, I could not handle being around the people. I was just so terrified to be in the classrooms, and I couldn't have people standing behind me or walking by me. It just scared me so much, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I wish I did not want to be there. So I don't know how long I was there, but sometime during that time in sophomore year, I went through a partial program at Kettering Memorial Hospital for a few months because I was so scared, and I wanted to die for the longest time. I just was so depressed, and nothing made me happy. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go out with friends, and I just wanted to be done with it. I really didn't care about my future or anything. Around that time, I learned about service dogs, and I learned that I qualified we talked about emotional support dogs, but around that time we learned of my asthma, and it just went downhill from there. We learned that I had auditory processing disorder, sensory processing disorder, and autism spectrum disorder, and my asthma and my anxiety are a very bad combination by themselves, because you get anxious and then your lungs get tight, and then it's hard to breathe and you get more anxious. So it's just fire and gas. They feed off of each other. My SPD, affects. I did suck, and I still very bad suck at sports. Just my depth perception is just like, I started to realizing it like with balls. Like, I would see the ball coming at me, and I thought it was here, and then it turns out it just hit me in the face. Clotheslines, those aren't school, but like going over to people's houses, I would run into them constantly, and I would always carry around a stick to feel where they were, because I still cannot figure out where they are. Mobility is a really bad problem for me. When we are currently in the process of getting a Bold Lead Designs harness for Quinn and me. I have a hard time going upstairs. Like, I can't, like, each stairs, they're different angles and stuff. It's just really hard for me to get up there, and the current harness I have does not work for mobility purposes. It's a guide harness. But balance problems, I close my eyes and I feel like I'm going to fall down, just fall. And I'm terrible. I close my eyes and I lose my balance immediately. My autism spectrum disorder, was a really big shock. My cousin has autism really bad. It kind of runs in the family, I think. But just to know that you have it, there's a big difference between autism and autism spectrum disorder. You can have with intellectual problems, you can have it with speech problems. I also have those. Yay me. And it just, yeah. So when we found out about, we thought about getting an emotional support dog, and stupid us, we didn't even do research on them. We just thought, oh yeah, we'll go to the pet store and we'll pick out a dog. And at the time we thought, well, if it's going to go to school with me, we'll get a hyperallergenic dog, which there's not really a such thing. I mean, people that are allergic to dog, it's dog dander, not dog hair or fur. So we got a Peekapoo, a Pekingese and Poodle mix, and we did not do research on service dogs, and we didn't think ahead of time on what we needed the dog to do. And I mean, if you know what a Pekingese or Poodle is, I mean, they're this big, and that cannot help me with mobility, and we soon realized that. And plus, the breed is not very friendly towards people. So we did our best. We went through puppy training classes and basic obedience, and she loved it so much, but you can't tell a dog, I mean, only 2% of dogs can be service animals, and she is far from that 2%. And now she's more of my dad's therapy dog. I mean, it's not a therapy dog, and she's not a emotional support dog, but she's just for him at the house now. But we weren't really sure what to do. I mean, we started researching what we wanted it to do, and then we learned we were looking for agencies, and just the agencies were so unhelpful. That because I'm a teenager, and teenagers are obnoxious and rude and careless, so they can't possibly take care of a service dog. So if I was a child, they would give me a service dog, but it'd have to have an adult handler. And that's what they said. If we give you one, then it has to have a handler, even though I'm 17 years old and practically I'm going to be by myself. And they said, since I'm not an adult yet, that they can't give me one unless I have a handler. And it's like, okay, well, basically all the other agencies that we looked at were just, no, you're a teenager. Teenagers you can't have one. And it was just like, they just treated us so bad because we felt like they didn't want to help at all. I mean, there wasn't any, well, I would try this agency. There wasn't. And we found one in California, but it was well over $200 or $20,000, and it was way too far away. And if we got one from that agency, we'd have to go down there for a week to learn how to work with each other, and we just didn't have that kind of money or time. And I was just so upset because I was starting to lose hope that we wouldn't even find one. And I mean, I was just so mad and upset that this was something that we thought we knew would work, and no one wanted to help. So, I mean, I searched for like 2-3 months maybe on different agencies and service dogs in general, and I finally found one at like 10 o'clock at night. And I was looking on their site because I was in tears, and I scrolled through and I saw that their price was like half the price that they usually are. They were like 10,000 to 15, which is still a lot, but I was like, oh my god, they do medical alert dogs. Look, they pair them with teenagers, and you don't have to have a backup handler and stuff. And I was just so excited and so happy. So my mom was so happy as well because we found one. So, I mean, 10 o'clock at night, I did not sleep well because I just wanted to know more about them. And the next morning, I mean, we did a lot more research on them, on SIT service dogs in Ava, Illinois, and we filled out an application and we sent it in, and they get over like 300 every year. something crazy like that, and they don't have that many dogs. I mean, it's a smaller agency, and we were, I mean, we hoped and I mean, we prayed that we would be allowed to have a service dog, or I would be, I should say. And sure enough, I don't remember how long we waited to hear from them, but we got in and we were scheduled to do a phone interview. And I mean, they asked questions about me, and I was just, I mean, even now I don't really like to talk to people, and my auditory processing disorder really is hard, because if you know what it is and you have it, you understand that it's a lot easier to talk to someone face to face because you can see their lips moving, and it's easier to decipher bat from cat. There's a big difference, but if you're on the phone, you can't see them. So, I mean, I don't really talk on the phone that much. That's why texting is somewhat easier for me to do. But my mom basically talked, and I mean, she was in tears and she was just crying, and I was crying, and we were just so happy that we were accepted by them, because for months no one wanted to help us, and then we found them and they were more than happy to do that. Our biggest problem was we did not know how to come up with that absurd amount of money, but I mean, it was better than $25,000-$30,000 for in other agencies. They walked us through the whole fundraising. They gave us packets and information and groups and stuff like that, and just, I mean, they helped us, and we finally figured out that we could do like garage sales with like our first one, and then we did a quarter auction, was a huge success. We raked in over half of the money that we needed, and the place that we were using, we got it for like, we rented it out for like the entire day for like $20 or something, because it was like a church area. But I mean, we did simple things like chips and cookies and things, but we got stuff donated to us by other agencies, and so the stuff that they donated, that we were going to be auctioning off. We would say, oh, this is shampoo from the salon on what street, and we would have all the names of the people who were helped out. And I mean, it was a huge success, and it was a lot of hard work, but it was so worth it. We also did like a night with Elvis, or an evening with Elvis, and we probably made over 200 cupcakes, which were not as successful as we hoped. So like, everyone went home with cupcakes. I mean, we had meal tickets, so if you came, then you got a free meal, but anything else you wanted was extra. I mean, that wasn't as much money, but it made nearly enough. My brother, who's also on the Ohio Crush football team, his team helped out a lot with that too, and we really appreciate family helping out with that. It's amazing. And when we got her, I mean, it was just like, oh my god. I mean, even since the first day I had her, I was just so, I mean, my support was basically my mom. I mean, I was not more than a foot away from her. She wanted me to get milk, she's coming with me. I cling to her arm, I hide behind her, and I'm 17 years old. But now I have Quinn. I can walk to the car myself. I'm trying to prepare myself to get a permit, because I want independence, you know? And it's scary to believe that a year or two ago I wanted to die, and I have her now, and all I want to do is live. She is really helpful. I mean, she helps a lot with anxiety, and I mean, if I'm anxious, she usually comes up to me and will just be very persistent, and she really likes, she alerts me to when my oxygen is low or I'm having breathing problems, and she more or less alerts me to anxiety and breathing problems, because sometimes, like I said before, that asthma and anxiety don't mix well, that they hurt each other. And so if I'm anxious, she nudges me and alerts me. I have to check my pulse ox, and if it's low, I know it's my asthma, and if it's fine, then I know it's my anxiety. So there's a different things I have to do for different things she's alerting me to. And I don't have to worry about, oh gosh, I'm gonna go somewhere and I'm gonna be crowded around and people are going to swarm around me and touch me and talk to me, and now I'm like, well, someone's talking to me, holy cow, I want them. I love answering questions about Quinn. I don't like when people ask, oh, what's wrong with you? But I'm not gonna be snotty. I haven't been talked to in like forever. Since I've had her, I actually can talk to people, and I don't know. She gives me a purpose. She gives me something to do. Before I would just lay in my room and do random stuff. I wanted to be alone, and now she forces me to take her out and exercise. She forces me to play, to do something besides sit by myself. It's another reason I want to get a permit and stuff, is just so I can have an excuse to get out of the house while I have to go exercise Quinn. Or, I don't know, but the drastic change, like, even doing these videos, I didn't want any part of going out in public. I didn't want to go downstairs in my own house. I wanted to be in my room alone. And now I can do this, and it's incredible that I was given this independence. I can be part of society. Senior this year, and I really want to. I haven't really decided yet, but I want to like rehabilitate dogs and train them to do some life-saving work, like police dogs or search and rescue, or even service animals. And I want to make a difference and not just be alive. I want to have a purpose, and she gives me that purpose. She gives me something to fight for. Even though she helps me upstairs and stuff, and I can brace on her to get up, something that I have worked with Quinn by myself with is picking up objects like pieces of paper, water bottles, blankets, things like that. And it's still a work in progress, but she's doing really good on that, and it is so much easier for her to pick something up than to have me bending down, because it's just, it's not that I'm lazy, and I'm not lazy. Okay, I'm lazy, but not, I don't take advantage of her like that. It's just so much easier to bend, for her to get it, than me to physically bend down. It's just because it's pretty much my SPT, and it's basically, I don't know how to explain it. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling now. It's just the process of bending down, and your head is not vertical anymore, and it just throws me off, and I lose my balance, and I just it's just really hard to do it, and it's just much easier to have her pick it up, and she loves to do it too. And she's not like a typical dog that's like, oh, have your sock and I'm gonna carry it around with me. I'm like, mean, she likes socks, but she doesn't chew on them and play with them and stuff. She's not allowed doing that. And being in high school, I mean, people just having basically zero friends, zero social life, being just keeping to yourself. People just don't really care. I mean, they just think that you're weird and don't want anyone talking to you, and it's not that. It's just, I was just so scared of everything and everyone that I just didn't want to be there. And now I can, my junior year, I did online classes, but I had to go to school for one period a day, which was math, just because it would be too complicated to do it online. And the seat behind me and next to me had to be empty, and it was really hard because people like to move. Substitute teacher comes in, everyone goes and sits by their best friend, so people sit behind me, and I would just fall apart in class, and I would leave the room and go to the bathroom and just cry. And now I'm in 4 or 5 periods a day in a classroom, and I talk to people, and it just amazes me how incredible service dogs are. And I mean, I understand that there are so many people with such worse anxiety or such a lot worse medical conditions. I mean, loss of limbs or seizures. And I understand that this is nothing compared to those, but I can't even imagine having something like that and having her with me. I can't even imagine how much more I would appreciate her. 5 months was something that I never thought I would get to, and I mean, we're halfway to a year, and then it just amazes me that not so long ago we just thought that it was hopeless, and that I just thought that it couldn't get any better, and now I'll just say that, well, we're halfway there, I guess. Thanks for watching.